I want to welcome the Minister here firstly, and secondly to endorse what has been said about the value of public service broadcasting. There's virtually nothing that's been said that I don't agree with, although a few of the comments have been colourful. But I do want to say this in relation to public service broadcasting. One of its major functions is that it is now a counterbalance to the social media counterfactual news. And in terms of keeping standards of public education through the media up, public service broadcasting has an invaluable role. The Constitution, in its description of the right of free speech, actually acknowledges that the media in Ireland have an invaluable role to play in educating public opinion. And it's in that role that I think that public service broadcasting really cannot be allowed to be effectively driven from the battlefield by its competitors. And I'm talking now about the Sky Newses and other bodies which are doing a tremendous job in attracting advertising away from RTE at the moment. I don't know how many members of this House have noticed that when you're listening to the radio, which I do at weekends particularly, the amount of advertising slots which end up with RTE telling you what they did broadcast or what they proposed broadcasting, you find our state organisations asking you to go for this medical check or that medical check. You suddenly find that the amount of private sector advertising on RTE has gone down very substantially by the look of things, and the ad slots are being padded out with informational material and charitable and cultural stuff to make it look as if there's still advertising on the media. And I would say this, and I really do mean this. I strongly believe that the RTE should drop its obsession with social media. It really doesn't matter whether Mary from Rathmines or Joe from Donnybrook or whoever else it may be thinks that the last item was brilliant or unbrilliant. It does not matter. And all of that, by the way, is manipulated hugely. That's manipulated. There's a well-known routine. If the minister goes out to RTE and bears his soul to the nation, he has people ready to ring in immediately or phone in or text in or tweet in or whatever else and say he's fantastic and brilliant for having him on. The amount of manipulation through the social media of RTE is huge. And who really cares, you know, what one person thought of the last item on the programme? If RTE has confidence in its own editorial standards, it should not be constantly looking over its shoulder at the social media commentary. We know in politics how utterly unrepresentative and valueless most social media commentary on politics actually is, how utterly perverse an awful lot of it is, and how shallow nearly all of it is. So the notion that RTE should have all of its presenters saying, please tell me how I'm getting on in this programme, please give me feedback. It's wrong. Have a little bit more confidence in your own views. And the same applies to the print media. If they print an article by Senator Clougherty on some issue, why is it right that some Egypt like me can write in something offensive about him immediately under his article, and the newspaper puts that up on its website? Can I say one other thing? The minister is grappling with the licence fee, and he's run a few little balloons out on iPads and all of those kind of things. Minister, and people here are concerned about An Post. There is one way to fund RTE, and that's to say that every home in the country pays a licence fee, or pays a sum. And there's one way to collect it, and that's through the local property tax. And if you took 70 or 80 euros from every dwelling in this country, regardless of whether there's a television in it, an iPad in it, or broadband into it, or whatever, or if every single dwelling paid a flat proportion of its local property tax to RTE, the costs of collecting would be minimal, the evasion would be zilch, and the capacity of RTE to know where its budget was coming on the public service broadcasting system, generally to know where its public money was coming from, would be crystal clear. You'd know what 10% of RPT, or whatever it is, it would be in any given year. So let's be clear about it. It is futile hoping that the present licensing system is ever going to become comprehensive. It's foolish to spend hours and hours agonizing over whether people are going to be honest or dishonest or evade or whatever. It's unfair, as I pointed out to you on a number of occasions, Minister, that somebody who has a house in Coolock and a caravan in Gordy is expected to pay, twice 160 euros. Which is, and to find that money out of post-tax income requires pre-tax, that requires up to 600 euros for people who are paying 40% tax, which is many, many average industrial earners at this stage. That's unfair. So let's have a different system. Let's simply provide that a portion of the local property tax goes to a public service broadcasting fund. Full stop, all over. No problem about people running around the country, no problem about detectors, no problem about people knocking on people's doors, none of that. It's simply dealt with, and you can apply the rest to hotels, guest houses, pubs, whatever way you want to. You can extend the system and apply it differently to them. You can, in relation to places of public entertainment, you can charge a differential rate, or whatever you want to do. If you want to charge a pub in Dublin, a mega pub in Dublin, a licence rate which is substantially different, you can just simply do it through the taxation system. But all of this is a waste of your time and your effort, and a waste of your goodwill with the public, by the way, because the tablets and the iPads and all the rest of it was a bit of a lead balloon. It wasn't just an ordinary balloon, it was a lead balloon. I have to tell you that. So I want to wish you well in everything you're doing. There has been mention here about the need for impartiality in television, and the point was made that fascists and racists were put out there just to provoke people and the like, and that shouldn't happen if that's what's really happening. But public discussion has to be interesting. I mean, you can't have everybody having the same bland views on every issue and all of us saying more or less the same thing about all issues. And I mean, the discussion, sometimes some presenters, and I want to agree with Senator Norris in one respect, some presenters argue with their interviewees in politics. They don't interview them. They believe it's their duty to actually score points off them, bang, 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 as if it's a boxing bout and waiting to score maximum points before the bell rings. And I think, I'll just finish on this note, I'll ask you here, I believe that one of the greatest beneficiaries of the political system and the charity of politicians collectively is Vincent Browne on his evening programme. Because I know of no man who has received such support from a whole lot of people who go out there and get mangled on his television programme so that his ratings can look good. And it's car crash dummies for politicians. I don't know why they do it, but they do. And it's always struck me that this is a real case. This is the only case where the politicians are extremely kind to the public service broadcast. That programme, if any of them had any sign of rationality in that programme, would have no politicians ever appear in it. But for some reason, we're decent to the man and we respect his record in journalism and keep his programme going for him. Thank you, Lasky.
Senator Fintan Warfield.